Hello, and welcome to another episode of Clearing the Haze. I'm your host, Chuck Marting. And today we're continuing with our interviews with Board of Trustee nominees. And today we're talking to Becki Fisher. Becki is a trainer. She's been doing quite a lot of different things within NDASA. And a lot of you have probably seen her going to the regional trainings and doing some presenting and helping out with that. And so I've wanted to have Becki on for a while on the podcast, and so this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So, Becki, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, please, not a problem. I'm glad to have you on, and it's a great opportunity for people to be able to know who you are. I'm sure that there's a lot of people already do, but you've seen as well as I have the growth that we're experiencing within Endace is incredible, and all the different areas. It's just not collectors. We have MROs, we have labs, we have all these other people that are involved in Endace, and they're also voting members. So it's to our advantage to have people like yourself be able to come onto the show, be able to present who you are and let people know who you are so that they're able to make informed decisions when they're voting. So thank you for taking the opportunity and allowing us to do this with you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I'm gonna start the podcast today just as I have with everybody else, and I got a question I want to ask you first. Um, Becki, can you provide just an overview of your experience, your background in the drug and alcohol screening industry, and as well as any relevant industry affiliations or certificates, things that you feel that we should know?
Yeah, I started at the very beginning. I live in very, very rural Kansas. I live clear up in the Nebraska towards the Nebraska border, and we had a family trucking company. And so most of the folks that we hired were workers already. And so I got trained so that they could come in the evening and have their pre-employment tests done or their randoms or whatever needed to be done, and they didn't have to take off work or whatever. And at that time, the town I live in is 350 people. It's tiny, but there's a huge feedlot, and there was like 10 little trucking companies in Scandia at the time, and they had the same problem I did. And so I started doing their testing, and it just blossomed. I was a single mother of a child with a birth defect. And so the cool thing about it was I could schedule around her doctor's visits.
Mm,
And I also, my son was a sportster, so I could schedule myself in whatever part of Kansas I needed to be in so that I could go to his events. So it was really, really good for a single mom. And
yeah.
then my house burnt to the ground
Wow.
and destroyed all my equipment. And so we started over. And at that point, it just has skyrocketed. My favorite part is the training aspect of it. I was a DASA master trainer, now an NDASA master trainer. I was a DASA member from the beginning. And I was the director of education for several years before the merger between the two. I trained reasonable suspicion, DER, CPCs, CPCTs. So if you're coming to the conference and you need a CPC, I'll be your trainer. I'll be your co-trainer. And oh, what else? I haven't told you about my kids. I have a son and a daughter. My son is a firefighter and
Uh-huh.
a sergeant first class in the National Guard. And my daughter's a speech therapist in South Carolina. Um, I got married and I have 5 bonus kids and 10 bonus grandkids.
Oh, wow. So that's enough to keep you busy for just a little bit,
It
huh?
is.
So has your time in the industry, being able to look at the landscape that we're experiencing right now, have you seen as many things going on in the drug and alcohol screening industry right now than any other time in your career?
Absolutely. I was absolutely blessed. Patrice Kelly from ODABC asked Kelly Dobbins and I to be on a committee to help write the training certification for a protocol for the new oral swabs.
Hmm.
And I'm jumped headfirst into that, and that is amazing. I'm really enjoying that.
That's awesome. You know that there's a lot of really neat things that are going on, and we need individuals like yourself that have experience in understanding, most of all, to be able to give guidance and direction, and to be able to observe things and decide what is going to be needed in our industry. But I've got to ask you, what motivated you to pursue a position on the board of directors for NDASA, and when you're on there, what do you hope to achieve if you're elected?
My biggest, like I said before, my biggest part is the education part. And the reason I want to be on the board is because I want to try to ensure that NDASA continues to be the standard of excellence for education in our industry.
Mhm. Have you noticed other individuals seeking that guidance and direction? I mean, and we're seeing a lot of growth. Do you think that's one of the main reasons why we're seeing so much growth is because of us having those programs in place, and having people like yourself that are able to give that training?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that people seek us out because we are, the best. We are all very skilled at what we do. And I think that that's why folks come to us to get it.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Becky, in your opinion, what are some of the more pressing issues or challenges that are facing the drug and alcohol screening industry today, and how would you propose the board address those?
The two that I think are the most pressing are rescheduling THC and needing to have that safety carve out. And they did an excellent job. I wasn't able to join you guys, but I understand that that was an amazing experience, and people learned a lot from going to Washington and talking to our regulators about not letting a person under the influence of THC drive a 80,000 pound vehicle or weapon. And so I think that safety carve out will be very essential if they do reschedule it.
Yeah, our advocacy day, I went to the first one that we ever did, and it was an incredible experience to be able to participate in that. The second time, I was in awe of all the people that we had within the organization there, and how much we were able to accomplish during that time. And like you said, it was really eye-opening to be able to talk to these legislators and these senators, and have them, to see their facial expressions and to see their shock that they didn't know a lot of the stuff that we were talking about. And these are the individuals that are trying to decide on these bills and stuff. And so it just kind of makes you wonder, if it's like this with just our industry, what's it like with all the other ones that are wanting things to be passed or whatever the case may be. But I think our main objective, like you said, was the safety carve out. And that safety carve out is really important. It's not just about us as an organization as much as it is our employers. Have you heard from employers how um, marijuana, for instance, is impacting their workplace, and how crucial that carve out is?
Well, actually, a lot of my employers, even non-DOT employers, are very happy about the fact that Kansas is slow.
Hmm.
Kansas doesn't have either recreational or medical um, um, marijuana in the state. We're really slow as far as that, but we are in the Bible Belt.
Is it
Um,
slow or is it cautious?
okay, cautious. Cautious is good. Yes. But there's many states that are fighting. Non-DOT folks can't test their employees for THC in some states. And
Yeah.
so I think, the safety carve out is absolutely essential. But the other thing that I think is really, really important is getting fentanyl on the test panel.
Hmm.
Um, Not only do I do DOT work, but I work in the foster care system. And everybody we test in the foster care system, we test for fentanyl because it is getting so dangerous.
It's interesting that you bring that up, Becky, because that was one of the things that they were surprised about when we talked to them in Washington, is that right now, currently, especially like in the DOT panel, fentanyl is not being tested. And these drivers and these people in the safety sensitive positions know that. And the non-DOT people, they don't know about it either. They are assuming. And so we're having to do a lot of education on that part. But you bring up a very valid point. There was almost just utter unbelief that we're not testing for that automatically. And so we had to explain to them that. But um, I'm sure that you've probably heard or you've seen some things out in Kansas with the psychedelics that are starting to gain a lot of momentum. I interviewed Phil Dubois earlier, and he's on the governmental affairs committee for NDASA. And one of the things that we looked at was right now, currently, there's over 182 bills that are being reviewed and proposed that are for both marijuana and psychedelic drugs. So I think that, this is what we are doing as an organization, going to advocacy days and things like that is so critical for what we do. So I'm grateful for your insight on that. And DASA values collaboration, inclusivity. So Becky, how do you plan to collaborate with other board members, stakeholders, or even broader membership to foster that cohesiveness and to affect a governance structure that we have here in DASA?
Well, I think one of the things that I like to do, not only do I like to train, but I love to learn. And I'm always up for, listening to what other states are doing. We have such an amazing membership, uh, just the vast number of people that are in all different areas. And I'm blessed to be able to have a lot of friends in our industry. And I read as often as I can on the articles. I learn through listserv. I learn through the Federal Register. I have been one of those that puts herself to sleep on multiple occasions reading the Federal Register. Um, the I mean, it's just I try to get my hands on anything I can.
Yeah.
I listen to you guys are the brilliance of the industry. How many times have we been at a dinner and we have done nothing but talk about drug and alcohol
Yeah,
testing?
exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
I just have a good circle. I have a fabulous circle.
Well, and with I don't know how close is the nearest um, drug or alcohol testing facility. I guess some of us would call them your competitors. I like to refer to it as, an asset for you as well. But how far away are you from some of these
About
individuals?
80 miles.
Yeah, so I mean, that's quite a lot of ground, So I imagine there's times that you do feel like you're there by yourself and not
Hmm.
having anything. So I can see the value in having those cohesive relationships with individuals. One of the things that I've really enjoyed is that you can look at these individuals as your competitors, okay? And yeah, they're making money, they're doing the same thing that you are. But I don't know if you experienced the same thing that is as our company did, is that, when COVID came through, we all got it. Our offices were closed, but it didn't stop my clients that were in safety sensitive that were still out there, that still had randoms or they had post accidents. I had to turn to some other companies to ask for them to cover for us. But we were able to do that vice versa for them as well.
Hmm.
And so I think there's that train of thought that we have to really get through, that, yeah, you know what, you're doing business in the same business, maybe even in the same area as me. That doesn't mean that we have to have an adversarial relationship because of situations like we just saw in COVID.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think that that's probably something that I've seen within NDASA that's been refreshing is helping people to get into that mind frame. And when we do that, when we go to conferences like we're going to in Hershey, it makes it a lot more fun. And we tend to be able to get a lot more accomplished because everybody's on the same page and they're not threatened. Look, would I like to have all the drug testing in Denver? You bet. But can I actually take on all of that? There's no possible way without the help of other people. And, so there's plenty of business to go around for everybody. I think that's the big thing that people need to understand, that it doesn't need to be a cutthroat type of an organization or even an industry. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually I have contractors that work with me in the other parts of the state. I do put on about 50,000 miles a year. I am almost solely mobile.
Hmm.
And so I go through a lot of cars, but I have folks in the Kansas City area that do, or a nice lady in the Kansas City area that does work for me. And I have a company in Wichita that does work for me. And we just have to work together. Um, you can't do it alone. I really think that they save me a lot of miles just simply because they're willing to help me over there. So yeah, we
Sure.
work to most of the collectors in the state work together.
Yeah, it's been pretty eye-opening to see a lot of that camaraderie, there we go, come together with each of us. So, thank you for that insight. You know, given the rapidly evolving landscape within the drug and alcohol screening industry with technology and regulations, how do you intend to stay informed and ensure that NDASA remains at the forefront of that industry innovation and then also the compliance part of it?
Well, I do, like I said, I try to learn about everything. And I try to stick my fingers into everything new so that I can get some information. I can find out about what's going on. I told you before that I'm kind of antiquated about my technology, but that's computer based. I will work out with, people that come in with new technology in our industry,
Hmm.
and learning about the oral swabs, being on the forefront of that is just an amazing thing for me. I'm learning before anybody else is learning. I get to learn from Patrice Kelly. So
Hmm.
there is nobody better to learn about oral swabs than Patrice Kelly.
Well, she wrote the section on it. She's the one that
Mhm.
is the person that has done the research. She's had those face-to-face and eye-to-eye contacts with people. And I think the biggest thing that people need to understand, this isn't a rush to market type of thing.
Oh
This
no.
has been ongoing, and we're doing the training now, and we're still waiting for the devices to be approved. And even once that's approved, it's going to be a process. And that's where you're going to see a lot of that collaboration that we're talking about that's going to have to occur. Because how do you get every collector, not only nationally, but we're talking
Mhm.
internationally. How do we get everybody on the same page so that they're able to do the testing and do it the correct way? It's quite an undertaking, and to be able to see Indesa taking the reins in that and in the forefront of that has been incredible to witness. And you have gone to these regional trainings and stuff, and you have seen that and you've experienced that. What's been the overall thought of people with us getting oral fluid coming forward? Have you noticed whether they're for it or they're against it, or they feel like it's going to be something that's going to be very helpful, or what's been the overall sense that you've been getting on that?
Yeah, I think the thing that really bothers me is that people are uneducated and don't know that they're uneducated, because
Yeah.
there are people turning in oral swabs under DOT paperwork now. That's just getting thrown away. You can't do that yet. But I'm really excited. We did talk about the international aspect
Hmm.
of DOT. There's mechanics that work for airlines in different countries. and different aspects like that, people don't realize. So I'm really excited about being in the beginning, because I'm going to be one of those folks that get to do all that traveling
Yeah.
and do those trainings, so that with it being device specific, I'm going to have to learn about all of the devices so that I can train device specific. And I'm really excited about that. I love the fact that I'm going to be in the forefront, that Patrice told me. She says, excuse me, she said, you realize that you're going to be the first person in the US certified to do oral swab testing, correct? And I was that's so cool.
Yeah.
Nobody will really know that, but I think it's a cool thing. And I just, like I said, I love to learn. So, it's more that I can learn about.
Well, and I think it's more than just coming to you and saying, "Hey, I want you to be able to do this." It's because of what you talked about earlier, the amount of training that you've done, your experience in doing that, and the success that you've had. We need to have individuals that are bringing that training and certifying people that are able to make that connection with people, and then to make sure that they're going to be able to do that collection appropriately. You've
Correct.
probably seen, with you being a master trainer, the result with just the urine testing, how many inconsistencies we have with collectors. And a lot of it is because of lack of understanding. And, it's kind of like one of my friends told me, you don't know something until you don't know it. I mean, if somebody hasn't shown you or explained it to you, you don't even realize that you're doing something wrong.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I think that's the big thing. And so I'm grateful for her insight in being able to identify individuals that can be an asset for that training, because it's going to be so crucial. So thank you for even being willing to entertain that, because that's going to be a huge undertaking,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that you're going to raise stock in Advil there for a little bit, trying to get through some of it. So, there's Becki, there's a lot of ethical considerations that play a significant role in the drug and alcohol screening industry. So I need to ask you, how do you prioritize ethical decision making, but yet ensure transparency and maintaining your integrity as a board member in doing that?
Well, integrity in my company is essential. We're not going to do anything that is not regulation based. We're going to make sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And I just won't have it, because this industry, um, if somebody was unethical, it could happen for a while, and that worries me. So even with my collectors, um, I follow my collectors for a day every 6 months, because if they picked up a habit that they don't realize they picked up, but it's not what the regulations say, it's a good time to catch that. Because if you do something over and over again, you kind of make it a habit. And it might be something that, and generally it's something very small.
Hmm.
But I think it's really important. In fact, Patrice caught me on something the other day we were talking about, and I don't even remember what it was, but it's a little thing that I do that I shouldn't be doing. But I didn't realize that. And so, even somebody that's been doing this 30 years, can pick up a little tiny habit that needs to be changed. So, it's just important that we are above board. I at one time had an opportunity to open a uh, place in Las Vegas, and a company that was doing some major construction wanted to know if I'd open up a company, and I didn't, because I couldn't find me to run it, and I didn't want to live in Las Vegas. So, I didn't do it, because a wad of cash in somebody's hand and help me pass this test, you
Yeah.
know, it could happen. And I don't want to put myself in that situation.
Yeah. Your integrity is everything in this business. If you don't have that, then you have nothing. I think that was a quote that David Bell even gave during his interview, that who's running also on the board. So it's refreshing to know that that's something that you have in mind as well. I think that with everything that's going on, with our industry right now, that it's crucial to have good people in place that are willing to make um, that that attempt at ensuring that all people are trained the same way, that they're going to be able to do the collections the way that we're being instructed for them to be taking place. The thing is that you're not going to be able to have everybody that's going to maintain that. And that's where our training within NDASA is going to come in. It's going to be really beneficial for those that are members, because it's going to be a lot easier for like myself having my business here in Colorado. And should I have a client that's out in your area in Kansas, I know that if you've been trained and you're certified through NDASA to do those collections, I at least have a peace of mind that I can pick up the phone and call you, and that having that reassurance that the collection is going to be done right.
Mhm.
I think that's huge. And I've seen that with a lot of different industries where they just put these people through the training. Here's your certificate, here's the coffee, the donuts. You got your certificate, you're good to go. It goes a little bit beyond that with this training. And so I'm grateful that we're kind of at the forefront of that right now, and that we have people like you that are able to help with that, because it's so crucial. So, Becki, this has been a very good episode of Clearing the Haze, getting to know you a little bit, and to be able to talk to you and let people hear who you are and what your thoughts are about the industry. And I've got a couple more things before we end, and I wanted to ask you, the one of the last questions I wanted to ask you is, can you share an example of a situation where you faced a complex challenge or even a disagreement within a professional organization or personally in your business, how you navigated that situation to achieve a positive outcome? How were you able to do that?
Well, a challenge would be when my house burnt to the ground and had to rebuild all that. We just stuck our nose to the grindstone and got it done. A complex, as far as somebody, I do a lot of foster care, a lot of moms that are trying to keep their kids or get their kids back, or kids that have gotten in trouble. And if I've got a mom that knows she's going to be positive and is, because it's a court ordered test, she's going to lose her kids if she doesn't take it. But if she does take it, she might be positive. Generally, what I feel like is I just stay calm and I try to diffuse. And I have not yet not been able to diffuse a situation. There may come one, and I hope not, but generally, quiet demeanor, that kind of thing. It usually just calms the situation, and we get it done.
Yeah. Have you had any thoughts with the growth that we're experiencing within DASA? How those experiences that you had, how that's going to be able to help you in relating with other people, that you're going to come in contact through training, but also in working with the board, is that experience going to be really relevant for what you're going to be doing on the board as a director?
I think so. I think as a mobile collector, I'm kind of unique in that. Um, my goal, and I've shared with some folks, but my goal is to not just mentor, but be on the mentorship committee. I get calls from folks that are trying to start mobile collection sites, and I'm going to make that official and join the board. But I mean, not the board, but the mentorship committee. But
Uh-huh.
I am currently on the education committee. I was a director of Dacia's education committee for several years, but then when we came over, the training and certification committee, I am on that. I'm also on the council of collection sites, or monthly Zooms to help folks. If I love to do that. If I can help somebody start a collection site where I think a mobile collector can generally start at a lower cost because you don't have to maintain a building. I'm very lucky in that I can do mine from my home. I don't have any um, codes or any, not codes, but I lost my word. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I can do it from my home and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Where in some cities you have to be, if you're having a business, you can't run them from your home. So I'm very lucky that way. But but anybody, if you've got questions of me, if you need help getting started, whatever, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. Um, yeah, I love to help.
Yeah, you're pretty active in those areas. So, I want to ask you another question, and it's not anything that I've asked anybody else because I think that you're in a unique position. I think it's something that I've heard other people say, and I think that you'll be able to answer this and be able to do so pretty easily. Anyone that has concerns like saying, well, how does Becki relate to me when she's in a small community and here I am in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm going to do this? Is it the same processes? Is it the same challenges in a small community as it is in a larger community? Can you kind of put people's mind at ease that just because you're coming from a different size uh, operation yourself, going to a larger operation and providing training, how does the dynamics of that affect anything, if at all?
I think so. My territory that I cover in Kansas, it's not exactly, but I go to Topeka, I go to
Mhm.
Salina, I go to Wichita, I go to Kansas City. It's not that I stay in towns that are 300 people.
Yeah,
That's just where I'm based from. But as far as DOT, it's got to be the same.
yeah,
I got to do it the same way that you've got to do it. And
exactly.
so, but I mean, I can just come home to a quiet area when I get done.
Go home and see the stars, huh?
Yes, yes.
And I and I
Hear the
think
cows
that
move.
That's right. And I think it's important for people. I wanted people to understand that it's not just because that's where you're at, but you're working in the bigger areas. You're doing all that stuff. So you're very well versed and understand what it is that they're facing and what they're dealing to. And I wanted to make that emphasis there. So
Thank
people
you.
understood that. So, I wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge you, Becki. I've known you for a short period of time, but I had heard of you before that. Um, and kind of like what we were talking about before, your reputation sometimes precedes you. And so I wanted to just acknowledge you for having that reputation of being someone that is very thorough, that is very passionate about what they do, and that they care about the training of individuals and that they need to be done right. And, it takes a special person to be able to not only run their own business. I mean, we're both in situations that we're running businesses, and those that are listening to the podcast, how busy you can get, not only with your business but also your personal life. But then to volunteer and find time to do it to the extent that you are with training and stuff is commendable. And I'm grateful for individuals like yourself that selflessly give that service and go out because you have a passion for what it is that we do. And so I want to thank you for that because we don't have a lot of people that are willing to do that or feel that they have the time to do that. But I think the difference between that individual and yourself is that, you're not finding time, you're making time. Okay, that's the difference. When you have a passion for something, you enjoy what you do. You've probably heard the old saying that, it doesn't matter if you get paid or not. I disagree with that, but I think that with your situation, with what you do, that it's very evident in the way that you talk, the way you're presenting yourself here, and I'm sure everybody's going to see that, is that you love what you're wanting and what you're doing, and you want to make sure that people are doing it the right way. So I want to commend you for that and thank you for that. Um, in closing, is there anything that you would like us to consider, anything else that you'd like to share with the audience here on Clearing the Haze that they may want to know in considering you for one of the an NDASA Board of Directors openings?
I just feel like if I can join that group, yeah, I can we can work if there's extra education that we can add, or you know, anything with the education and certification stuff that NDASA does. I just want to be able to help with that. I want
Yeah.
to be able to with the oral fluids. Um, Working with that, it's just an amazing experience. So, if anybody has any questions of me, if you're trying to start a mobile collection site or whatever, anything like that, please reach out. I will be happy to share my information. NDASA has my information if you can go through them. Um, if I can help, I want to help.
Well, we're grateful for that and your willingness to do that. So I want to wish you good luck and extend an open invitation to you in the future to come back on Clearing the Haze. I know that there's going to be some things coming up with different innovations and regulations, and then with you going out and experiencing a lot of the oral fluid training and stuff like that, I'm sure that we're going to have some episodes that are going to be coming up where we're going to be addressing that. And I think of no other person that would probably be very helpful in having on the show at that time. So look forward to having you back on the show, and I wish you well and good luck. And we'll see you at the board meetings. All right, take care.
Thank you.